We continue our focus on bipartisanship as we welcome Representative Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania and Representative Jared Golden from Maine, members of the Problem Solvers Caucus, which you're going to learn a lot about in the next few minutes. Jared, let's start with you. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. And can you explain for the folks out there what exactly the Problem Solvers Caucus is?
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the only caucuses in the House of Representatives that is made up of both Democrats and Republicans. And I think when you look back over the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of the best work that's come out of the House of Representatives has been, the result of hard work done by the Problem Solvers Caucus or members of it, to include, myself and Brian in particular through the years, and also you, John, when you were in Congress. I think your last big effort with the Problem Solvers Caucus was the bipartisan infrastructure law.
Yeah, it was. I remember that fondly, but I also remember how much consternation it caused for the extreme elements of both parties. Anyways, Brian Fitzpatrick, I call him Fitzy because he's a good friend of mine. Brian, could you tell us, you're co-chair of the caucus. What do you hope to achieve in your role as co-chair?
Yeah, thanks for having us, John. It's a two-party group. We believe in two-party solutions. It's a Noah's Ark rule. If you want to join, you have to find someone from the opposite party to join with you. So we're a 1-to-1 ratio that try to advance two-party solutions and bipartisanship in Congress, which sounds like a strange concept in this climate, but our goal is to not make it a strange concept, but to make it the norm and to take the same approach to government that we take towards our personal relationships, that you don't allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. You take 80% of something over 100% of nothing. You come to the center, you try to see the world through the other person's eyes and advance a compromise consensus type two-party solution to all issues: healthcare, childcare, housing, affordability, taxes, foreign policy, you name it. It's basically taking the same approach to government that we take towards our personal relationships. It's not much more complicated than that.
So Jared, tell us, how often does a Problem Solvers Caucus meet and what goes on in those meetings?
Yeah, we try and meet weekly, John. Schedules are difficult trying to get a big group of members together, but basically weekly. Some meetings are more what I call informational or educational, where we'll invite some people in to talk about a core issue and how it's impacting them, whether that be healthcare or like permitting reform is a good example. Those are the types of meetings where we might start to see together, like what is the common problems that we can agree about. Other meetings are just members where we try and get into the nuts and bolts of hashing out a deal. One of the things I would say about the Problem Solvers is whether it's Brian, who I partner with on many issues through the years, or you, John, when you were in Congress, Fred Upton, Jamie Buehler, every Republican that I have had a close relationship and worked closely with on something that got done for the country, it was a member of the Problem Solvers Caucus. And I think that's part of the beauty of the group. It's the relationships you form.
It's almost like we're exposing a nice secret about Congress, that actually Republicans and Democrats meet and they try and do things in a bipartisan manner. So, Brian, let's take one of your bipartisan efforts that you all are working on now and tell us basically what's going on with that to start with.
Yeah, so healthcare obviously is a big issue, is a massive issue. This current year, 2025, at the end of the year, the ACA premium tax credits are set to expire. And myself and Jared came up with a two-party solution, as did several other of our colleagues, to try to offer a two-party solution to send that to the Senate to hopefully have them pass it and at least deal with this piece of the healthcare puzzle. There's a lot of different cost drivers to the healthcare system. We have to unmask and drill down on all of them, but this is one of them. We can't ignore any of them. This is the most time sensitive, given that they're set to expire at the end of the year. And, we try to get a two-party bill to the floor. Since that option was taken off the table for us, we ended up signing a discharge petition, which is a mechanism to force a bill to the floor.
So let me interrupt you right there, if I may. You say you tried a two-party solution. I presume both of you tried to work with your own parties to get them behind it, and you faced headwinds. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. So
But the beauty, John, the
Pardon me?
beauty is in the Senate where they need 60 votes, they're going to take whatever the House passes and they're going to push for the deal that Brian and I have been working together on. That's a deal that can get Republican and Democratic Party votes.
So
And
how
that's
did
a
you
deal
go
that
about getting the
Dana's-
consensus to do what's called the discharge petition, which is something that's a kind of an esoteric rule where you basically go around leadership on both sides and force a vote on the floor. How did you guys go about building that consensus?
I think Brian and I have been working together on discharge petitions now for about 2 years. We started with the issue around funding for Ukraine. We kept the pressure on through those discussions. We didn't successfully pass a discharge, but we did keep the pressure on both Democratic Party and Republican Party leadership to ultimately do something more in regards to that conflict in the Ukraine. We did it again successfully recently, Brian and I, where we didn't agree that the president should just be issuing an executive order to do away with collective bargaining rights that were already in place and negotiated and agreed to. So Brian and I did a discharge petition. It took us about 4 or 5 months, John. But one of the things I want to point out is we've really learned to create space. The process, the steps that you take and how you sequence it can determine whether or not members of both parties feel comfortable coming along with you and signing on, and even how you message it and talk about it. You have to be careful that it's a message that doesn't alienate the other side. And I think Brian and I have learned how to put forward that type of partnership in the Congress now over 7 years of working together.
So, Jared, I appreciate you. Even though you have daddy duty going on, you're doing double duty here, and we really appreciate that. Brian, I want to give over to you now. What are some of the things you hope to achieve going forward other than the Affordable Care Act? And how important is it for you to be working with the Problem Solvers Caucus? How important is that to Congress overall?
It's everything, John. George Washington, in his farewell address in 1796, warned of the dangers of the two-party system. He was very prophetic, an amazing president for a whole host of reasons, including that. And here we are, 2025, about to enter 2026, and the strains are really, tugging at the threads of our Constitution because of the two-party system, because of hyperpartisanship. And the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus are really a pressure relief valve for that. We're providing space for members that want to approach government like they approach their personal relationships, that believe in two-party solutions, that believe in not allowing the perfect to be the enemy of the good, and getting something done. It's the same way that people manage their businesses, manage their households. We're just trying to take that same approach to government. And as far as what we look forward to in 2026, first week or second week of 2026, our caucus will be unveiling what will ultimately manifest in the Problem Solvers Caucus's affordability agenda for 2026, where we're going to identify all the pressure points in families' budgets, whether it be healthcare, childcare, housing, what have you, and unmask all the cost drivers that are latent and part of each of those elements of families' budgets, and try to provide relief for them. So that's going to be our project that we look forward to aggressively moving forward.
So I think I speak on behalf of all Americans when I say that I dearly hope that you continue your missions in a bipartisan manner in Congress. The American people want them now more than ever, and you're 100% right when you say that we compromise all the time in our private lives and in our business lives, and we should be doing the same in Congress, and there's not enough of it. But thank you both very much.